Hey you! I'm so glad you're here today. I'm Jenny Prochko from Owls and Indigo, and I make videos about journaling, spirituality, the moon, mental health and awareness, and my story. Today I wanted to talk to you about my tarot collection, and I have a lot of tarot decks. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 tarot decks, and I wanted to walk you through my first couple of decks, why I chose them, all the way up to the decks that you see me use today in my videos and in my daily tarot draws. So let's go ahead and get into my tarot collection. These are all of my tarot cards. I have a lot of tarot decks, and I absolutely love each and every one of them. The first tarot deck that I ever got was the classic rider-waite deck, and I didn't know what else to get. This was just in one of my local metaphysical witchy shops, and I just needed a way in, and I felt like I needed it in my collection. I was drawn to it one day, and I went ahead and got it. So the main reason why I got this deck was because it was just classic, and I needed a starting point, and it was the most well-known. And what I like about this deck is it is a great starting point. It's really well known, and it gave me an accessible way in, and there was also a lot of information about this deck online and in the bookstores. And my favorite card in this is actually pretty weird. My favorite card of the rider-waite deck is the Hanged Man, and it's kind of weird as to why I like this card. I used to sleep in this position with one leg up and one leg stretched out, and then I'd have the opposite arm above my head, and this is just like, that's the reason why this is my favorite card. So I feel like this is like me in the deck when it pops up in a reading, and it's not because of the meaning of the card. It's just like an actual depiction of how I used to sleep. So this is like a signifier that I am like popping up in the deck and I am present, I guess. Does anyone else have a card like that where like it pops up and it's like, oh, there I am, yeah, it's me? I have a couple of cards like that in each of these decks, but this is my favorite card out of the rider-waite deck. And the very next deck that I got was this Celtic Totem Animals deck by John Matthews. I really love totem animals. I grew up on a farm, so that is why I just resonated with this deck. And this one actually comes with a CD that has drum beats that you can meditate to as well. And the thing that I really like about this deck is the guidebook that comes with it. It's a pretty hefty guidebook. I mean, you can see how thick that sucker is. This guidebook has a lot of Celtic mythology stories in it, and then it also tells you not only the meanings of the cards and what each animal represents, but it also tells you the stories behind them, and I really enjoy that. I have some Celtic heritage in my family, and this was the first deck that really helped me connect back to my ancestry, and I really enjoy this deck. So another really cool thing about this deck is actually the way that the animals are described in the guidebook. Each animal has 4 different signifiers, or the ways that you can view them in your readings and what they represent. So each card has this animal as a way shower, as a protector, and as a challenger and a helper. And I really liked that because it helped me see the animals more as like a guide and as a way to view my situation from a different lens and what I could learn from each animal. And I really enjoy that because I grew up on a farm, and there's a lot that we can learn from the animals, and there's a lot that I had already learned from animals growing up on a farm and just observing them in nature. This deck really helped me solidify my connection with animals. So for this deck, I don't know that I have an actual favorite because I love all of the cards. They're teeny tiny itty bitty cards, just see, teeny tiny. You've probably seen them in my drawings before. They fit right in the palm of your hand, and they're super teeny tiny. And the cards that show up the most for me, ironically, are the stag and the bee. And I really like these two cards because the stag reminds me a lot of the farm, because we always had deer, always had deer. And then also one of my earliest memories on the farm was chasing around bumblebees, or not really chasing, but following bumblebees. And then I remember one time I stepped on a bumblebee and I was so heartbroken, because this bumblebee clearly was not doing so well if I was able to step on it as a kid and it was on accident. But this bumblebee was huge. It was like this big. It was ridiculous. And I got a bumblebee sting, and I was so sad that I got a sting. I was so sad that I killed the bumblebee in my little kid mind. And I just absolutely love these cards because they bring back a lot of memories from the farm, and they also help me connect back to my ancestry a bit. And here is a close-up of what the cards look like and the artwork. I absolutely love them. And on my website, I actually have a stag spirit animal blog post, so if you want to check that out, I'll go ahead and leave a link down below. So for many, many years, these were the only two tarot decks that I had. I had just the classic deck, and then I had a totem animal deck. I probably had just these two for over a decade before I added any more to my collection. And as soon as I started adding tarot decks to my collection blew up. It just got so freaking huge. I have so many tarot decks now, and there's many more that I really, really want. So the next deck that totally caught my eye was the Wild Unknown tarot deck, and this is the original tarot deck. I waited a really long time before I got this deck, and I wanted to make sure that I got the box set that comes with the book, and I'm so happy that I got this deck. It is such a beautiful deck. If you are new to tarot, I would say just skip the classic rider-waite deck unless you want to get into like the origins of tarot and things like that. But just go straight for this one. This one is beautiful, and it has such a nature connection to it. So my favorite card in this deck is another weird one, and it connects back to animals and the farm. The devil. And the reason why I like this is because we used to raise goats on our farm, and I actually used to show goats for FFA and 4-H, and this guy looks exactly like the billy goats that we used to have, and I absolutely loved the goats on the farm. We bottle fed them. Sometimes we would have triplets that we'd have to bring in from the cold and care for them in the farmhouse. And this is like another signifier of me. So if the devil card pops up in a reading from this deck, it's not a negative thing for me. This is just like, oh, here I am. This is representative of Jenny. And it's just my connection back to the farm and the animals. And it's not a negative card for me. It's really not. It's just a representative card of my past and just another signifier of me. I'm sure you can guess what the next tarot deck that I bought was, and that was the Spirit Animal deck from the Wild Unknown. As soon as I saw this, I had to get it. Like I said, I really connect well with animals, and this is just another one of those decks where I can't pick a favorite. And the thing that I really love about this deck, again, is the artwork and also the descriptions that come with the guidebook. So I don't have a favorite card in this deck for myself, but if I were to pick one that is my favorite, it would be the raccoon. And the reason why the raccoon is my favorite is because it reminds me of my husband, and it also reminds me of the farm. The raccoon is one of his favorite animals growing up, and he used to have like little raccoon stuffed animals, and we actually still have one in his keepsake box. That's super sweet. And the last time that he actually drew a card, this is the one that popped up. So this is just like a sweet card. and that's why it's my favorite out of this deck. The thing that I like most about this tarot deck and guidebook is the descriptions. And the reason why I like these descriptions is because I just opened it up randomly to the frog. I used to absolutely be obsessed with frogs as a kid. Does anyone remember peace frogs? I was actually talking about that with a friend over the weekend. I had no idea. We were both obsessed with it, and I've known this person for a really long time, so that was pretty cool that we learned something new about each other. So the book has a description of the animal. This has characteristics of when the animal is in balance, out of balance, and then how you can bring that energy back into balance. So like for the frog, when the frog is in balance and he's driving and everything is perfect for him, the frog has clear energy and enthusiasm for life. And when the frog is out of balance and is just not feeling it and it's just weird, the frog feels depleted and is running on empty. And what you can do to bring the frog back into balance is go to a lake, a river, an ocean, or a bathhouse. So to add water back into your routine. So there's some ideas of what you can do to bring that animal's energy back into balance in your life. The very next tarot deck that I bought was the Illuminated Tarot. I think this one is really beautiful, and I got this one because of the artwork and also because it doubles as playing cards. And this is the deck. It's huge. It's super hard to play cards with this, but it is entirely possible. The thing that I like about this guidebook is it's super thin, very tiny. It's very easy to use, and all it is just the cards and then a little quick description. And like the Six of Diamonds, the description is super short. It's charity, harmony, and cooperation. And I actually drew that card recently in one of my daily tarot draws. These descriptions are super easy to understand and super easy to interpret, and they make a lot more sense to me. And I have a couple of favorite cards from this deck. And of course, there are animals that are my favorite from the deck. I've got two spades here. I've got the 10 of spades, which is a rooster, and then the king of spades, which is a ram. And these, again, remind me of the farm. I absolutely love animals, and these are two of my favorite cards in the deck. But my absolute favorite in this deck is more representative of me now, not me in the past. And this one is the Four of Clubs. And the reason why this is more representative of me now is because of the floral aspects of it. And I really, really love the artwork in this deck. It's gorgeous. It's stylized, but it's so beautiful. This is a card that I would definitely have as a piece of artwork in my home on a larger scale. My next deck was another very, very fun, interesting purchase. This is the Spirit de la Lune deck. This is the guidebook, and it is a round deck. It is beautiful. The artwork is incredibly gorgeous. Here is the deck, a nice little round deck, and I wanted something round, and I actually ended up buying the incorrect deck. This was not the round deck that I was looking for, but it is so beautiful, and I'm so happy that I bought it. I don't have any favorite cards out of this deck except for the actual lunar phases. So beautiful. I absolutely love it. This deck has really gotten me into watercolors as well. And oh, actually, I do have a favorite card in this deck. I just looked down and totally forgot about this card. This was just laying on top here. This is the Blessing Moon. It is all about contentment. I absolutely love the colors, and I love the hand on here. So the thing that I like about this deck the most is the descriptions in the book. There are quotes at the beginning of each description, and they're more of like a mantra. I feel like they're more of like a mantra. And then there's also a really beautiful description of each card, and they ask you a lot of questions in the description as well. And there's also a little bit of advice at the end of each description. So I just flipped to the waxing gibbous, and so the quote at the beginning that I feel like is more of like a mantra is, "With courage I trust the path before me to guide my steps and my dreams unfolding." So I really like that for my journaling practice and for my mantra maker practice. This has a lot of really great prompts and ideas. And at the end of this description, there is a little bit of advice. Release doubts and insecurities. Stop comparing yourself to others. Trust your gifts and abilities. Follow your moral compass and act accordingly. Walk to the beat of your own drum. I feel like this deck is super empowering because of the mantras that are in the guidebook and in the descriptions, and also the advice that it gives you at the end, and just the questions that they ask you in the descriptions. I think that it's a really great deck for journalers and for people who are doing more shadow work and diving into the inner child and just trying to get to know themselves better. The next tarot deck that I bought was another one of those decks that I saw on the internet that I just absolutely fell in love with. And that deck was The Universe Has Your Back. And this is more of an oracle deck, and I really love this deck. I think that these cards are all gorgeous. They're another set of cards that got me into watercolor, as you can see here. And they're just like little messages from the universe each morning. And when I first got this deck, what I really loved to do was to just draw a card each morning and then just tuck it up in my mirror so I could look at it and just see the message every time that I walked into my room for the day. So this is a deck that I don't have a favorite of, but I just flipped through, and one that caught my eye just now was this one. I honor how I want to feel. And I think that this is such an empowering deck for people who are struggling with their mental health and just people who have any emotional struggles, because there are such beautiful messages in these cards. And another one is, I am the dreamer of my dream. Another really great one is this hummingbird. The more energy and intention I bring to my faith, the more fearless and free I am. Oh, here's another really great one. When I'm feeling low and I can tell that my emotional and mental health has taken a dip, I really, really like to pull out this deck and just pull out a random card and just think about the message that pops up. And this is another really great one. I choose to learn through love. These are really beautiful cards that anyone should have. Whether you are religious or not religious, this is a really great deck, just in the fact that they're little messages from the universe. They're little pick-me-ups that can help you throughout the day and make you feel a little bit better if you're down. I highly, highly recommend this deck. And my most recent purchase isn't actually a tarot deck at all. This is a playing card deck. This is the Foragers playing cards. And the reason why I bought this deck is so we could play cards with it. It was a beautiful deck. And then also, I really love plants. And I have a huge apothecary of a lot of herbs and oils that I've gathered over the years, and also some things that I've grown and harvested myself. And I really love this deck because it gives the plant, the description, and then whether it's edible or not. So if you are into like medicinal herbs or medicinal plants, this is a really cool deck to get. And it's just a really cool thing to just help with your herbal knowledge. So the way that I use this deck is just like a tarot deck. And I think there's also a lot of things that we can learn from plants. And they can teach us their medicinal properties. They can also teach us about just growing, because there are a lot of plants out there that continue to grow in areas where you think nothing could grow. So I think that's a really cool aspect about plants and how you can actually use them in tarot. So if you're into the magical side of plants, you can also use this as a tarot deck as well. It will teach you not the magical properties. It just teaches you the medicinal uses and where you can find the plants and whether they are seasonable, edible, findable. This is a really cool deck to have if you're into plants and if you are looking to further your knowledge about medicinal herbs and plants. So there you have it. That is my tarot deck collection from over 10 years ago up to this year, my most recent purchase. And I think I have 8 decks. I think I said that earlier. I don't know. My collection's growing, and the more that I do these daily tarot draws where I draw a card and then draw them out in my journal as miniatures, I see more beautiful cards and I get to learn these cards more. So if you want to see how I use these tarot cards, make sure you watch some of my other videos. I use them every month in my monthly goal setting videos. I set goals monthly via the moon and use the 8 phases as a chance to check in on those goals to see how I'm doing. And then at the end of the month, I like to look back at the tarot cards that I drew at the beginning and see if they actually applied to my life and see if there are any lessons that I can learn from them, or just as a chance to look back at the beautiful artwork. There's no shame in buying a deck just because the cards are beautiful. I definitely do that. I love just looking at the artwork in tarot decks. I think that they are a way to have beautiful pieces of miniature artwork that you can see every single day. You can catch me over on Instagram at alsindigo, that's where I am most, or over on alsindigo.com, where I share weekly spirituality tips, journaling and writing prompts, little tidbits about the moon and how to move through the lunar phases with your goal setting, mental health and awareness, and my story. I want us all to be happier, healthier human beings, and I think that we can definitely do that through journaling and getting to know ourselves better. So come along with me on this journey. I'm so grateful that you chose to spend your time here with me today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.